so you can benefit the most from this particular session. On our agenda today is we shall be examining various areas that you can use in order to drive growth in your business and ensure that you continue to achieve great results. Our speakers for today include Mr. Ayo and Mr. Ike. Both of them will introduce themselves very soon so you can understand where they are coming from, their background, where they work, and what value they will create for you during this particular session. We encourage you to note down your questions. If you have any critical questions to share, please share it in the chat box, and it will be brought to the attention of the speakers. And at the end of the session, and at each point in time, we're going to have a question and answer session that you can ask extensive questions during that particular period. So let's start with an introduction. I'll hand over the space to Mr. Ayo, who will introduce himself first, and thereafter we'll go over to Mr. Ayo. Ayo, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Joel, and thank you for having me here. It's a privilege and an honor of being a part of this kind of a program. So my name is Ayo Emahiome, a Nigerian. I am the CEO of Coinbox Limited. Personally, I'm a management consultant, and then my company too is into management consultancy. In summary, we help businesses to get better. Our focus areas is in SMEs, and we are for them for various purposes. Is it in the area of the management itself, or is it in the area of your staff development? Is it in the area of recruitment, or is it in the area of finances, or is it in the area of strategy for either startup, small or medium-sized businesses, which includes your business plans or whatever you need? We are there for you. Generally, we are called, as management consultants, we are called the business doctors. We diagnose and profile solutions. So that's my company and myself in summary. I'm a problem solver, especially in the area of management and business development. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ayo. That was very apt. Friends and colleagues, you will notice that when he shared his background and his organization, they are the solution providers, problem solvers when it comes to businesses, especially our entrepreneurs and small business enterprises, right?
Yes.
So you will glean a lot from him, his organization, his background, while this session is going on. And even at the end of this session, you can also reach out to him for other conversations to help you in your growth expectations. Thank you very much, Ayo.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so we'll have Mr. Ike Chiobi to also share with us. Let him introduce himself, his organization, and where he's speaking from.
Thank you, Mr. Joel. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ike Chiobi. Currently the MD CEO of Liz Africa Ghana. I'm a Nigerian. I've worked in Nigeria for a very long time before I was posted to Ghana in one of our subsidiaries at the heat of COVID, 2020. It's been an interesting journey because my assignment was to turn the company around, change it from a loss-making business, as it were, to make it move into the path of profitability, and to God be the glory. We've been able to achieve some milestones, and we know we could still do more. In terms of my background, I have a background in finance. I'm a chartered accountant. I'm also a member of CIPM, a full member. Had trainings outside the shores of Nigeria. My drive is always to see how we can turn business around. How can we achieve more with less? How do we maximize the wallet of our clients, through cross-selling and all that? So I wish we're going to have a wonderful time this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ike. I've known Ike for several decades. All right, we share some childhood and childhood friends together while he was in Nigeria and now that he's still in Ghana. Thank you very much, sir, for being on this program.
Thank you very much.
Okay, good. So this is the platform. The question is, why do we consider business growth? Why should you as an organization be thinking of growing your business? You see, it is no longer business as usual. The world has changed. The world will continue to change. In fact, they say the only constant thing is change. And each change brings with it a new paradigm. And those paradigms always redefine the way business is done. Think about it. Wind back the hand of time in the past 10 years. There was nothing like pandemic 10 years ago. This Zoom digital platform on which we're having this particular meeting 10 years ago was not the way it was. In fact, we'll have been meeting in some hotel, in some venue for the sake of this particular program. And what it means is that some of you who are on this particular program will not be able to attend. Because I have friends on this particular program tying in from Abuja, from Kano, from Jos on this particular platform right now. And of course, from Ghana also, as the case is. So what is the effects of the changes in the environment and the impact it has on business? If you don't grow, like they say, because there's nothing like being stagnant. If you don't grow, you will not stagnate, you will shrink. Because everything around you continues to grow. The other businesses, the other things, the other institutions that you have around you continues to expand and grow and get much better at that point in time. But you will not be growing because you are stagnated at that point in time. If you are a business that has 20 customers, think about it, you have 20 customers, and these 20 customers give you a revenue of 1 million naira per customer per month. That means you have 20 million naira revenue every month. And you have that 20 customers for 5 years. And think about a business, another business that has only 5 customers. And it has a revenue of 1 million naira like you have also per customer. Every year, that business with 5 customers adds 5 extra customers. Year 2, 10 customers. Year 3, 15 customers. Year 4, 20 customers. Year 5, 25 customers. But how about you? You have remained in the same 20 customers for 4 years, 5 years. You notice that that small business you look down upon has grown and is now bigger and has overtaken you at that point in time. But let's not stop there. Remember the cost of inflation. The cost of doing business continues to rise. So the quality, the worth of that 1 million naira you're getting from your customer, if you factor in inflation into it, let's assume that inflation is 10%, but me and you know is worse than that. At 10% inflation, that means your 1 million naira is 900,000 the following year. In the next year, it is 800,000. Then it is 700,000. Then it is 600,000. So in 5 years' time, your 20 million naira revenue drops down to 11 million naira or thereabout. Meanwhile, your other person, the other competitor that you're looking at, has grown from 5 million to 25 million. You see the value and the importance of growing your business. This is just looking at it from a standpoint of number of customers. How about from quality of product and service you bring to the table? You say, no, the only product you bring, this is what you bring. Take, for example, our very popular drink in the market, Coca-Cola. Imagine if Coca-Cola says that the only drink they have in the market is Coke. From beginning till end, no other soft drink. You know that the taste of the average human being continues to rotate and change regularly. Today will feel like Coke, tomorrow will feel like Fanta, another day will feel like Sprite, as the case may be. But if they insist on just one product at that point in time, without any variants or additions to it, it's only a matter of time. They too become extinct from the market. These are just fundamentals why it is very important for you to think about growth. How about your staff, your colleagues, the people that work within your organization also? Your team members also desire growth. There is no employee that you take onto your business as an entrepreneur or CEO in your business. And that person will expect to be in the same position for the next 5 years, and the person has not grown. The person has not grown in training, has not grown in experience, has not grown in exposure. The person cannot handle more than the person is handling at that point in time. Even they, if they are not growing, they will have started looking for somewhere else to go and grow at that point in time. So growth is fundamental in the lifeblood of any business that you run. No need of starting up a business and say, look, I will play it low key. I'm going to be small. I'm going to solo it at that point in time. Yes, fine. That's your own initial objective and what you want. But the industry, the market will dictate to you how you should grow. And if you don't respond to that dictate, you will notice that gradually over time, you're going to be struggling at that point in time. So this conversation is not going to just be me. I am going to hand over the mic now to Ayo so that he can share with us some thoughts on what we can do to ensure that we take advantage of growth within the industry. Ayo, please, you have the mic.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, again. Just a few years ago, when you mentioned, just like Mr. Joel said, when you mentioned Zoom as a means of having a conversation, people will be wondering what's wrong with this one. I want to see you physically. Come and show yourself. Come here. You say, oh, distance, don't worry, we'll pay your, even if anywhere you are in the world, we'll pay for your tickets. Nobody considered that it was too far or it was too expensive. Come COVID, what happened? It's now the other way around. When you tell them how to come, they say, what happened to Zoom? I mean, you say, no, don't worry, I'm coming myself. No, it's too expensive. And then by the time it will take you to travel, we would have finished our meeting. So, I mean, why do you need to come? Just let's have a Zoom meeting. That's growth. That's innovation. That's change. Yes, it was COVID that led to that, but in every industry and in every sector, there's always something that is leading to a need for innovation. And the companies that have survived are the companies that have already been a step ahead in their innovation movement or in their growth movement. They might lose a limb along the way. They might lose a leg along the way. Sometimes they find out they never even needed that limb. Or sometimes they found out they needed two, not just two. They needed three, not just two legs. But all this happens to companies that are already planning and have a mindset of looking into their future and moving. We have so many cases in point, especially in Nigeria, for companies that refuse to grow, especially in the SME sector, or companies that were in their comfort zone and debt met them and gave them a very wonderful hug. And today, they are nowhere to be found. It happened to companies irrespective of their sizes. A common example was the case of the bank consolidation. I used to be a banker, by the way, for a little long time. And when the bank consolidation came, from two angles you look at it. Some banks before then had looked into the future and found out that the capital requirement, the capital they had was not good enough. So they needed to increase their capital base to meet up to the future requirements. That was what was said in their statements, to meet up to the future requirements. So they had raised funds. Then all of a sudden, the CBN wakes up and says all banks should increase their capital base. Those that were caught napping were those that never had the need to increase capital and grow as a business, and they died or they were absorbed by other banks who were then considered bigger banks. Why? Those bigger banks had a growth mindset. And so they had prepared their people and themselves for future growth. So when the need came, they were ready. And that is how businesses are. It is only the businesses that are future inclined that survive in the market today. And not just today, because yesterday is the future of today. So if you are not planning yesterday, the future has met you today. So what do? You have to plan your future you have to plan your tomorrow from today as a business. And you have to be looking at so many areas. A key factor in any organization is just like driving, as I always tell people, is the human factor. No matter how good the car is, even if you don't have a good driver, then the car is useless, really. Thank God for driverless cars now, but the driver is still the AI that is supposed to be a very good driver or a very safe driver. So it is always about your drive. What is driving you as a business? If you don't have it, it's time you find what it is. A lot of people go into business for various reasons. Many of them is by accident. Yes, it was by accident, you didn't plan for it, but now define the accident. What do we mean? You are selling clothes. All of a sudden, you are now building houses. What is your reason? Why do you exist? Now, you now need to define why you exist as a company that builds houses. Why do you exist as a company? What do you want to be known for in the future based on the houses you are building? That defines your niche. And then you now use that to grow your business. And so in the process of doing that, you now look at so many other factors, the economy, your staff, the culture, so many other things, which you now use to set your structure as a business and grow your people and grow and define the market you are growing into. And that's the essence of growth in summary. That's why you remain in business, except your business is a trade where you just establish the business within 1 year, you move on and the business dies. But I don't see anybody coming into business for that reason, for just a 1 year or a 3 months or a 6 months thing. So businesses that die so short were businesses that were never planned for. But once you have a plan for your business in the long term, then you don't expect your business to die, because I've never seen anybody that is tired of making money. There's nobody. If there was, then the likes of Dangote and Mark Zuckerberg will stop working because they've had enough money. So that's why, if you know your business is there to make money and you want to keep making money, your business needs to grow, and you need to grow as a business. And you now look at the various factors that would help you in growing, which, not to take too much of your time, I will just tell you that there are 3 main factors. The first one is the talent management. Like I said before, driving a car, the human being. You need to have a plan for the humans in your organization. And then the second one is the culture. Now, there's a saying that culture would eat strategy up for lunch, no matter how strong, how big, how good the strategy is. Why? Because the culture is the big elephant in the room that you always have to address. Irrespective of the business, like I tell my SMEs, when I ask them, what's your culture? They say, it's just me, or we are just 2. Which one is culture? I said, I'm sorry. Culture is the garment the company wears. So nobody sees it except those that see the cloth, and it grows with the business. So if you don't define the design of your garments now, when the business is growing, it might be an eyesore for the other because it will be ripping apart. So let us know what is your culture. And then, of course, there's the issue of technology. The technology is key, as in the future tech of the business. And because that defines how you will structure your business. When I say structure, yes, the general knowledge is the organizational structure or the organizational tree. But that organizational tree goes into areas of the strategic alignment, the mode and system of communication, the authority system, and still again, the culture of that organization. Those are key things that when you now address it, your organization is aligned and prepared for the future. That is, it's not a company that will die in its early years. It's a company that will die in its old age. So these are key things that we need to look at in moving your business forward. There are a lot of advantages, some of which I've mentioned. There are so many questions that needs to be addressed, because all I've just said is general and in summary. It differs by industry. Some industries, especially when I talk about like the service industry, the manufacturing industry, the knowledge industry, all these principles are generally the same, but the application is different on an industry by industry basis. But I hope we'll have enough time in this short webinar to be able to address all that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ayo. Very instructive, especially from the angle of people issues, cultural concerns that are happening, and why we should be prepared down the line for the business, so we can enjoy and benefit from the value that we're going to get from it at that time. Thank you very much for sharing those thoughts. So please, if you have some questions for Ayo, please put it in the chat box. We will soon get to a Q&A session where you ask some of those particular questions and we shall visit them. We will now turn attention to Ike Chiobi as he shares some thoughts to us on how you can identify opportunities and also how you can stay ahead of the competition.
Okay, thank you very much, Joel. Thank you, Ayo, for those quite insightful thoughts. So I think for me, let me take this approach. I want to share two experiences I've had in the course of my career. The first one will be in Nigeria, then in Ghana. So in Nigeria, when I was leading a business, I was like a divisional head for a particular business in the group. I was actually invited to come in and steer that business. I was in 2013 because it was going through some rough times. And mainly I assumed that role. The first thing was to listen to the customers. What were they saying? What were the issues? Yes, I made a structure on ground, which I have been using to run that business. But from where I sit, I knew that that structure cannot drive us and give us desired results. So I had to dismantle that structure immediately without sentiments, not looking at people, because most times as leaders, the problem we have is sometimes we get very emotional. You want to look at people, you want to favor people. You must have a blind eye. Just come up with a structure you think can drive the business at that point. And that was what we did. We were able to come up with a structure we think that can drive based on the feedback, because you need to listen to the customers, you need to hear them. Most times we close our ears, we just assume we're running a business, but again, the customers have some pain points. And it's only when you address those pain points that you actually bring a solution to them. And that's the only way you can actually maximize whatever you want to do. So, of course, we dismantled that structure, came up with a new structure, started running that structure. And as we're in that structure, the next thing we did was to actually now start asking for feedback. Beyond before the feedback was even the follow through, because sometimes you can also design structures, but if you don't have a clear follow through that gives you a report and ensure that things are working in order, then you miss it. So we have to follow through. As we're following through, we're getting feedbacks. Now, the next thing is how, so what we did at that point was to build confidence in our clients, which is very, very important. Then the next thing is, how do we grow this business? How do we expand from where we are? Just like Joe said in his intro, yes, maybe you are X amount. How do you actually now? So the first thing you can do is to actually maximize the wallet of your existing clients. And how do you do that? You must come from a point of value. And of course, what we did was to actually start approaching some of them. Hey, gentlemen, we see this is what you guys are doing. We're saying that we can bring this value by X amount. And we're also going to give you some comfort. So, being very, very specific, it was an outsourcing business. And we're saying, look, gentlemen, we can help you manage the performance of your staff. We can help you ensure that those who are not performing well, we cancel them. And after canceling, those that need to be examined, have to be seen. So it becomes like we're taking up a burden from them. And that was what they actually work on. And that was what saw us moving to the banking sector as our client. And from there, we're able to replicate that success story. It was easy to actually make references to that. And I think at the end of the day, it was a good success story because, what was it? We're listening to the customers. We're trying to hear them, want to know the pain areas. How do you solve problems? Because at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're trying, there's a gap that you're trying to see how you can actually bring something to the table and actually address those challenges. So, that's in a nutshell what happened in Nigeria. Then coming to Ghana, similar issue where the business wasn't doing well and all. So what we did was, again, to review the entire business, unbundle and x-ray it. And by the time we did this, it became obvious that there are a good number of clients we actually run at a loss. We actually subsidizing their operations. And, for some reasons, nobody had taken time to actually look at those numbers, details to see, what's actually happening. And when it became clear to us that, we can't continue this way, of course, I know there were some agitations from my GM, some of the senior managers. Oh, no, you don't. If you go to this client, they might cancel the contract. They won't accept review. I said, no, it's all about transparency. So what we're going to do, we're going to be transparent. Let's share the numbers with them. And that was what we did. Say, gentlemen, we are coming to you clean. We're going to share the numbers with you. This is what you're paying us. This is the cost. And we had to break it down into pieces. And at the end of the day, it was obvious to all that this business is making a loss. So do you want us to stay in business or you want us to go under? So after those conversations, I mean, it was a win-win for us. Of course, they agreed to have an upward review of the prices on the rates, and that was how. So so you can imagine that if we didn't do that, I mean, we'll still be running at a loss, and that's how the business is going to go down. So sometimes, as a leader, you need those both sales. But again, I mean, once you can show clearly transparency, some clear part, I mean, you're not trying to actually take advantage of anybody. I'm sure the clients are also reasonable. They will reason with you. I mean, they will hear you out. And that's some of the things we did. And of course, the next thing is to now ask us again, how do you maximize their wallets? I mean, yes, you're doing X. I mean, are there other things we can do? I mean, hear them out. What are they thinking? I mean, the next 2 years, I mean, you start planning for that, start getting competency as the case may be. And at the end of the day, you'll be amazed, they become good partners and you're able to actually solve their problems. So these are some of the things we need to do. As leaders, at any point in time, we must have courage, we must take decisions, I mean, without sentiments. We must be very clear in our mind what we're communicating. I mean, show some level of honesty, some transparency, because that's the value you're bringing to the table. I mean, I want to help you solve it, but then you need to meet me halfway. And you see some changes in the business. And when people know that, yes, for these guys, they are clean, I mean, they are true to their words, I mean, you can rest assured, it gives a lot of reference. I mean, once anybody comes to them, you're one person that comes to mind, and we've got a lot of reference from that, because most times we're ready to sit with you and say, look, this is the issue. Well, how do we, because we are partners. It's not just about collecting money from you. I mean, because if you rise, we rise. If you fail, we fail. So that's why we must always collaborate and move on. Thank you.
Thank you very much again, Ike, for that experience sharing that helps to put in perspective how we can pick up opportunities of how we can implement growth in our various spaces. Thank you. Let me share two thoughts on growth. One is on emerging trends, and the second one is going to be on how you can anticipate change. Let's look at emerging trends. One way you can ensure that your business continues to grow is look at the landscape around you and find out what are the trends you're seeing in the environment at this point in time. If you search the internet, if you visit a lot of business enterprises and various locations, you notice that the new mantra is less is more. We are now demanding for more, as the case may be, but utilizing less resources in that particular case. When it comes to staffing, we are downsizing and shrinking staff. However, performance expectations are increasing and expanding. Customers are requesting for more service to be rendered to them, but costs should drop. So you see, less is more, as the case may be. So you need to think of what are the excesses in your line of business, in your products, in your solution, that the customer does not consider as value. Strip them of those particular things and deliver pure value to the customer at that point in time. So that's the growing trend we're beginning to see around us today. Another trend that we're seeing is the ability to laserly focus on costs. Because if you don't manage costs, costs can grow like a monster overnight and can erode all the small income or profit you'll have gotten from your business at that point in time. And sometimes all it takes is one mistake, one operational mistake. And for the next several months, you're still trying to solve or address the problem that has been resulted from that point in time. So look at your costs, the various cost items in your business. And one of the major costs in business are people costs. So look at those particular costs and ask yourself, what is the value add at this point in time for this particular individual, for this role that we have at this place? Do we have duplication of those particular roles at that point within the organization? This is very common in small businesses. When you go to the offices, you notice that quite a number of their staff are redundant. They are not doing enough to justify what is going on at that point in time. Sometimes we start hoping that the business will grow and then the employees will have something to do. In reality, you grow the business and then hire staff to address the business at that point in time, okay? Another thing also is that we're seeing as trend is convenience. People are now buying convenience. They are not buying your solution. They are not buying your service. They are not buying your product. People are tired of suffering and struggling. They are looking for things that ameliorate those particular sufferings from them at that point in time. This is why the e-commerce industry is thriving. Everything related to shopping, going to the market to buy some things, as the case may be, the e-commerce industry and platform have been able to address that problem successfully well. And so people are looking forward to that particular convenience. Related to this is the line of business of Uber. One of the reasons why Uber is thriving and the related transportation like it is the convenience they have brought to the table to us. Convenience in terms of pickup, convenience in terms of where you're dropped, convenience in terms of how you make your payments, as the case may be at that point in time. Convenience in recent times on how you bargain your rates. And a point in time where you have a voice, you have a rating for your drivers, as the case may be. So businesses are looking for some measure of convenience at that point in time. Then there's also need. Businesses are beginning to collaborate. There's no more one-man gang in businesses anymore. There are now collaborations. You do 50%, I do the other 50%, we deliver to the customer. There are very few businesses now that do end-to-end and still survive it. Because end-to-end means you deploy all the resources that you require across board, and resources cost finance to put in place at that point in time. So a lot of collaboration is beginning to happen. Now, inside this collaboration, we're beginning to see outsourcing. We used to think that outsourcing is only for the big organizations, the big telecoms, the big banks, the oil and gas, as the case may be. But interestingly, the mid-sized, small organizations are beginning to see the value of outsourcing, not just their people, even some of their business processes to organizations, so that they can focus on the area they perceive is their core, where they may have the best strengths to be able to deal with at that point in time. Think about it. HP, as an example, is an organization that we know very well as making laptops. They make printers and things like that. But HP is not a printer organization. It's not a laptop organization. It's a marketing organization. That's where their core is. Promotions and marketing, that's where their core is. You now wonder, how then do they make their products and services? Everything is outsourced. The entire process, design of the systems, the manufacture of the system, the logistics around the system, everything is outsourced. They just focus on promotion. Same thing also, Coca-Cola that we mentioned earlier. A lot of things is outsourced. The bottling of the drink is outsourced. The distribution of the drinks across to all locations is outsourced. They focus on their primary core, which is protecting the concentrates and also in marketing and promoting the brand. You think about it in your line of business, where is the core that you need to pay attention to, and then outsource as much as you can so you can leverage other things at that point in time. The other trends we are seeing is innovativeness. You must be innovative, right? Some say no need of innovative, copy other people. Yeah, but even if you copy other people, make sure you paste well. Once you copy, you paste intelligently. Don't just copy and paste, because if the people you copy from made a mistake, you will have pasted along with that particular mistake at that point in time. So even in the small adjustment you make, you have created innovation. Your innovation could be in packaging. It could be in advertisement. It could be in engagement. It could be in customer feedback, the way you engage your customers, as the case may be. Just ensure you innovate along those lines. It could be product variations. It could be turnaround time. You determine what it is that you bring your innovation on at that point in time. And remember, innovation can either be on products or it can be on service. So you have product innovation, you have service innovation, you also have experience innovation, the kind of experience that you bring to your customers at that point in time. Then the other part of emerging trend is the fragmented workforce. Fragmented workforce. In the past, all our staff from various organizations, they resume at work, let's say 7:30, 8 a.m. in the morning, and everybody closes at 5 to 7 p.m., depending on your work schedule. And it works that way round the clock, except for industries that run shifts down the line throughout at that point in time. But today it has changed. You have those who do remote work. You have those who do physical work. You have those who do part-time work. You have those who are on call, depending on emergencies that you need them for at that point in time. You have those who are freelancers, who like to choose where they work, what projects they get involved in at that point in time. So you have a fragment of different kinds of workforce that you have today. So ask yourself very well, this staff that you have, yes, that staff in your organization that you have, do you need that staff to work 24/7? Do you need that staff to work with you completely throughout, Monday to Friday? Do you need the staff to work for you from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.? Or is the staff services best rendered only in the morning hours? Once it is 12, you notice that the rest of the day, the staff has nothing else to do at that point in time. It is time for you to consider alternative working arrangements, because these are some of the trends businesses are beginning to see, and they are using that to improve their businesses. Then also, as part of the trends that we are seeing, emerging trends, is that businesses are beginning to niche. Niche means that they are now concentrating on a target market. They are now noticing that bringing one product and trying to sell it to everybody in the market is a waste of energy and resources. So for each product or service that they have isolated the target market, a niche market for that particular product at that point in time. Think about it. If you're in the furniture business, who is your target market? You say everybody needs furniture. I mean, everybody needs a chair and table in their house, as the case may be. While that is true, but all chairs and tables are not made equal. So there are certain furnitures that belong to certain types of market, certain type of audience, so to speak. So you have to make up your mind, are you targeting the corporate world? Are you targeting the individuals? Are you targeting families? This way it will help you to niche very well, as the case is. An example in this case is if you are selling GSM product or services, right? So you say everybody makes phone calls, so everybody is your target market. Why that is true, do you have the resource and capacity to sustain everybody? If not, so you end up becoming an average person in the market. Is it possible for you to target a niche market? Maybe instead of targeting the entire Nigeria, can you target Lagos only? Instead of targeting only Lagos, can you target only Lagos Island? Instead of targeting Lagos Island only, can you target only university students? Have you noticed that by niching and coming close to a particular niche, you see that competition is reduced? Because it's not all competitors that will play within your niche at that point in time. So it's critical for you to try as much as possible to target a niche that you can work with and then achieve great results at that point. Then the last trend I'd like to talk about is automation. In today's business environment, is either you automate or you are old school. You need to automate your internal processes, the processes from which your production happens. If you run a bakery, you need to walk away from kneading and molding the bread yourself and get some machines to do that at that point in time. If you run a manufacturing concern, it's time for you to automate those particular processes. If you run a consulting firm, you need to automate in those particular areas to generate reports and systems for your clients, as the case may be at that point in time. So these are some of the things automation can do for you. Automation brings operational excellence. It reduces turnaround time. It increases quality of output, and it ensures consistency at that point in time. It ensures predictability of the outcome and the results you're going to get. And so businesses around the world are beginning to automate as much as possible so that they can take advantage of this. In our growing and emerging environment, we're beginning to see various things that are driving change, all right? And so, which brings me to my next conversation on issue of change. How do you anticipate change? How do you look around to ensure that it's like this thing is going to cause change in our environment? When we started, we said that change is constant, change is normal, and that business as usual is no longer tenable, that things have changed at this point in time. How do you anticipate change and ensure that you're able to drive change in your environment? One of the things you can do, if you remember the book, Who Moved My Cheese? One of the principles in that book says you should smell the cheese regularly to see when it is getting stale. So you know that things are about to change at that point in time. And how do you smell the cheese to know that change is about to happen? Engage your customers. Customer feedback, that's one of the way to understand that things are gradually changing. Customers that used to rave, give you five likes, 5 stars before, but they are not giving you 4, they are not giving you 3. Those are pointers that something is changing. In fact, if possible, on a quarterly basis, run a customer feedback program. You can do it online, okay? And you can use any of the online tools, SurveyMonkey or any of those, or you can talk to any of the consulting firms. Ayo can do it for you. We can do it for you also. You can run a survey and find out exactly what do your customers think. And that feedback will help you to understand where their mind and thoughts are going to at that point in time. So don't joke with your customers' feedback. If you're not getting an 8 point, 9 point, or 10 point from your customer feedback, change is about to happen to your line of business. The second one you can do to understand change is your sales analytics. What is sales looking like? Look at your sales trend in the past 3 years. What is sales looking like? Is it growing or is it flat out? If it is growing, is it growing at the same rate as the industry is growing? If your industry is expanding and your sales is not equally expanding as the industry, then you are suffering from change issue at that point in time. There's something that is about to happen to your line of business at that point in time. So your sales analytics along with your marketing will help you to understand where the market is going at that point in time, so you can reconfigure internally. Then there's also the regulatory barometer. There is no industry that is free from government interest, 100%. So what is government saying? What is regulation saying about your industry? Sometimes they don't overnight drop a policy. They start talking about it small. When you begin to hear those policy conversations here and there, sometimes the populace keeps saying it's impossible, government cannot do that. They don't have the right to do that. But those are indications of change that is about to come. It's time you begin to ask yourself in your line of business, what if government goes in this particular direction? What will I do in order to survive it at that point in time? Once upon a time in Nigeria, governments were complaining bitterly about the loss of revenue at the borders. They kept talking about it and all the things they could do about it. And after a long time, people assumed that it was just talk. Then one day they shut the border down. Imagine if your line of business depended on the import and export through that particular border. You know that your business is frozen. Same thing also, they could just take up one item. It may be the core raw material from your line of business and then close the border on that particular raw material and simply say that no more, you cannot import that product anymore. Or the tariff on that particular product goes extremely high. Those are examples that you should look out for those particular information because there are changes that are coming up at that point in time. Another source of change that you need to anticipate and look at is your competition. What are your competition doing? Each time you see them do jingles, they do promotions. Please pay attention to those promotions. Don't think that our competition, they are not making money. That's why they are doing buy one, get one free. They may be doing buy one, get one free as if they are not making money, but they are stealing customers. You don't know. Because by doing that, some of your customers who are price sensitive, which will convert to them at that point in time. So you need to look out for what your competition is doing. What are the emerging things? What are the new products, new services that they are deploying at that point in time? You need to look at those particular things. It will help you to take advantage of what is new and coming up at that point in time. Then the other issue is cost of goods, your cost of doing business. The economy is getting more tough and tough. And as the economy is getting much more difficult, we are losing value, we are losing resources. So if your cost of doing business continues to rise and rise and rise, because each time your cost of business expands, your margins reduce. And as your margin reduces, the final profitability in your line of business is compromised. And of course, the ability to expand and grow becomes an issue at that point in time. So it's important that you look out for your cost of doing business. Put a leash on cost. Cost cannot go up beyond a particular percentage or a particular value. If not, so you need to raise an alarm in your line of business. Then the last area to consider, when you're anticipating change is your external environment. Let me use the economy as an example. What is if you deal with Forex, if you deal with import-exports, or your line of business has to do with Forex, what is the level of fluctuation of FX rates in your environment? The more fluctuation it is experiencing, then the more possibility that you're going to run into problems at that point in time. Or inflation. In 2015, in Nigeria, there was a point in time when the dollar went up from, I think it was 180, 190 naira. It went up instantly within 3 months, all the way to 400 and 500 naira. And it was scarce to find. It was not just expensive, it was scarce to find. Industries almost shut down. I remember one particular organization in particular that we were consulting for back in those days. Their major raw material, in fact, the only raw material was palm oil. They were importing palm oil from Malaysia. They import palm oil, they refine it, and then they share it to other mainstream organizations that use it, as the case may be. They could not get the dollar they need, nor be able to import palm oil. So the factory literally shut down because of that fluctuation in exchange rates. It could also happen to us. So look out for those economic factors as the case may be. Fast forward also, somewhere around 2016, the average Toyota car back in those days, Toyota Corolla, was around 6 million, 7 million, 8 million at that point in time. But within 1 year, Corolla went up. I'm sure Ike will respond to this. Toyota went up from 6-8 million naira to 22 million naira. It was difficult for the average business enterprise to be able to obtain or purchase a car at that point in time. And guess what? They started refurbishing the old vehicles. And they started vehicles that were due to remove them from the system. They now extended the lifespan by another 2 years, running high level cost of maintenance, as the case may be. So you need to look out for what the economy is saying and how it has ripple effect that will come back to impact you at that point. Another thing to check for in the external environment is technology. Advances in technology will affect you seriously. All it takes is just one small startup to come up with one unique technological solution and you'll be rendered out of business. The example we gave initially of Uber was a case in point. When Uber showed up, it was like child's play. But then all the yellow cabs disappeared from the market just because of the deployment of that simple technology, as the case may be. Think of it also. When e-commerce came up, e-commerce is technology. And with the deployment of e-commerce, the entire market, all the shops, as the case may be, the likes of Pack and Shop, various shops that we have in town at that point in time, instantly they started struggling with revenue because the youths, because your target audience, the emerging audience we have today are the young ones. And they move with technology, as the case may be. Finally, talking about the external environment are social issues, social trends, especially on social media. If you watch the social media, you notice that social media is 100% monetized. And if you look at what is happening there, you can build a business or kill your business on social media. So you look at those particular trends and those changes in those areas and find out what are the best ways that you can take advantage of these areas in order to grow your business as much as possible. Okay, thank you very much for the thoughts shared. I'll open the floor now for some questions so we can do a Q&A and discuss further on the things that has been shared. So if we have any questions, we'll request for our those in our admin to check the chat box and share with us any questions or chats that we have from our friends before we continue the discussion.
While we are waiting for questions, I couldn't help myself. I've been pinching myself to keep quiet, but I have to ask Mr. Ike, as a business, because it's actually what we are discussing, how are you coping with the inflation in Ghana today?
Yeah, thank you very much, Ayo. It's an interesting one, really, because Ghana is going through what they've never seen the past 20 years or more. As we speak, there are so many uncertainties, and unfortunately, because of the kind of business we do, we're a leasing company where we lease assets to most of the big multinationals here, and they are locked up for 4 years, 3 years, 5 years, as the case may be. And you had facilities you've actually got maybe at 70% as at then. Today is almost 40%. The company is bleeding. So it's been a tough one. We've been trying to actually summon that. So one of the things we've done, first of all, is to reduce going to the bank in terms of funding. So what we've done is to see how we can actually recycle cash, where you do a lot of disposals, bring in cash to buy some of these assets. We also explored the opportunity of also partnering with the vendors directly, the car vendors, have some understanding and give us some payment plan. So, I mean, it's real, but again, like Joel was saying, as a business, you must always think out of the box. I mean, because you can't close shop, you must remain relevant. How do you deal with that? So, and so that we've done. These are options we've taken. Then one of the things we've also done strategically is to also have our own major workshop here in Ghana. So what it does for us is that we're able to control cost as much as we can, as against using the major workshops and all that. So these are some interventions we've introduced that ensure that we actually stay afloat. From the accounting perspective, I mean, at some point, we have to look at the depreciation policy. Before now, 4 years was a standard, but today we're doing 5 years as a standard. So these are some things, I mean, people can, take it. So, I mean, we've not stopped. We're still on it. I mean, every day we go to bed, thinking through how best can we navigate through this trying times. But I mean, we are afloat, and we know we'll be afloat. So just for us to continue to respond fast to the changes, and so it's been a tough one, really. It's not been tea party. I was telling my friend I'm getting gray hair seriously these days.
Well, I wish you guys all the best, because whenever I check up on what's happening in Ghana, I say, how our business is coping there. It's not funny.
Most Nigerian businesses have lost value here in Ghana.
Yes.
Beyond the issue, I mean, in terms of value, because their currency also, lost value seriously. So it means whatever money you bring to this country, you've lost some serious value from in terms of investment.
Especially with the Ghana cedis to Naira already.
Exactly. Both Ghana cedis to Naira, even to dollar.
Naira value has eroded there.
Yeah, sure.
But I'm sure now, even the cedis too would have lost value compared to
the dollar.
It's
lost so much value to dollar. So, at a point, maybe last year we're doing a cedi to Ghana was about 5.7, today is about 12. So
wow.
So you can imagine, we're talking
almost
about
300%.
Yeah. So that's it's not bad.
Well, our hearts go on to you there.
As well.
Okay. All right. Picking on that conversation a little bit. I mean, it's a trend that is affecting a lot of institutions. Ghana has its own, Nigeria has its own. In fact, globally, these constraints, even in the developed economies, they are also struggling from a business point of view. Ayo, let me just pick on this particular area. What happens for a business that initially was very, very equipped and notice that the market has shrunk and they have excess capacity? What should that business do with this excess capacity it has at this point in time?
Well, there are so many options, depending, because very equipped is very equipped irrespective of the industry. So there are so many things they can do. First of all, let them be sure that they are very equipped, as I said, very equipped. Because sometimes you might feel you are very equipped and you now check your equipment, they are obsolete. So you are actually without equipment. So they need to first check this equipment we feel we have too much or excess of. What are they, how are they, and then would they be used? In fact, let me give an example. We have a client, this is just last week. he calls us that, look, he has been able to come up with a renewable source. So he has like 3 generators. So from our network, can we look for people that will be able to take that off them? And then we reach out to our generator merchants. We have the network too. We told them, they said, well, for them, they are virtually out of business already. So that's our clients we are talking to. If he's charitable, he should look for who to give the generators to. Be that they are diesel generators, by the way. Or number 2, those generators, the company had a price they were looking at, that if they could get it at that price, they can now use it to expand on other parts of their business. So which is a very good deal. But the generator merchant said he can't get it at even half of that money they were looking at. Why? Because of technology now, diesel generators are out of fashion. People don't really buy, anyway, in Nigeria, people don't really buy them because there is solar option, there is the inverter option, then there is the new willing buyer, that's premium power option that the PHCN provides. So, and there is know-how so far that irrespective of the price that PHCN will charge you, that will be higher than the cost of running a generator set. So anybody would rather negotiate for premium power and abandon using generators, which has been very effective, at least in Lagos anyway. So based on having so many options, getting a generator, whether it's giveaway or however, a diesel generator with the price of diesel today, people run away and shy away from it. So we have to go back to them and tell them this is the reality. Your generator is very good. Your generator is in top form. It's one of the best engines and all that. But you see, the market has moved on. So generator is now obsolete. Even though you thought you had 3 and they were so useful, not anymore. So these are the options that our partners give. Look at it and let us know which one you would go for. Of course, they decide to take it for less than half the price they were expecting and decide to go and source for extra funds to, go for the project they wanted to do. But that's the reality. This was just last week. That's the reality on ground. Sometimes you need to check the so-called excess equipment you have. What would they be in the next 1 year? Because if this is what is happening now, with the country's renewable energy focus, like Lagos State that is about importing electric buses for their BRT transport. That means if you have diesel buses that you are using in the next 5 years, or in the next 3 years, your buses will be out of fashion and you think you have excess. So that's the first thing you look at. Then after that, now let's take it from what you are looking at, outsourcing. Nothing stops you because Uber even provides that as a service. Take all your excess equipment, in this case, if it's transport equipment, and give it to like an Uber. Uber will now put it into business and now use it for you and for its own customers. So that's an option you can look at, outsourcing your excess equipment so that you get additional income. And that's now a new line of business for you, really. It's just that you're now partnering with Uber in doing that. Then you can also look at immediately selling them off, which is what this other company, decided to go for, and using it to expand your business. The other option you can also look at is using it to support an industry, like especially because for me, that's what we always encourage our customers to do. We have SMEs, small businesses. They need this equipment you consider excess, and they cannot pay or rent or buy it as it is as big, but we can get 3, 4, 5 of them to use one of your equipment for tiny, tiny bits of the monies that it would have cost. And at the end of the day, is a win-win. Your equipment is still being used at a reasonable value to you, while other sectors are now being improved or getting higher value. It could even be in the same sector anyway, but higher value, and you are growing the sector generally. So that's another thing to do with it. And then sometimes there are some equipment that to you was only useful in your industry, but because of innovation that is happening in the world today, that equipment will shock you. It is useful in another industry. And that industry might be the new industry you are looking at going into to expand your business. still using us because that's where I know a lot about in the SME business. We found out we have excess space as a company. That is, with COVID, our staff strength became 20% of what we used to have. In fact, less than 20%. That was what we needed. Every other person we was on contract. So it's as need basis. And based on that, we said two options. Option one, we go and get a smaller space. Option two, we cohabitate. It was that idea, we were playing around with it. We now realize we have one of our products that we've always announced. It's just that then we used to do it as a partnership, was running co-work spaces. And then we do it with the co-work groups across the states. So why don't we now have space to do that? So why don't we now do that? Because it was excess space. When I say excess space, that is fully furnished offices. So it's not just empty spaces. So we had excess computers, chairs, tables, everything. And we now fully went into that business. We already had a business plan and we were just looking for capital while we had the space and we never needed capital. So with that, we got a lot of SMEs that were interested in taking up small spaces. In fact, 2 or 3 wants to take one office. And so they would rather take that. Instead of, we were looking at 1 for 1 office, but they were interested in 2 people, 2 individual people who runs 2 individual businesses running 1 office. Some even 3 running an office alternatively. That is, I will use this office Monday, Wednesday, Friday. This other person will use the office Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And that's how we got into the co-work business. And so that's how it works. You might now get into alternative businesses when you look at what you can do with your equipment and what else you can do with it. So, but the thing that is in most people's faces most times, head at the beginning is sell. It's not every time you need to sell. You can even lease, you can co-create with it, you can sublease, you can do so many other things to it, or just as those people said to the generator guys, donate it somewhere. So that's just it. That's what you can do with excess equipment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That sounds like charitable work or social security.
Yes, so social security, building social capital.
All right, thanks. So I don't know if Ike, you want to share some thoughts also on that?
Yeah, so I think it's just like I said, we're actually in a very interesting times. You know, things have changed. I dare say that since after COVID, I've not had any fiscal board meeting. Because before now, because we're a subsidiary, so I have my directors flying from Nigeria, flight costs, hotel bills, per diem. So that whole cost has been saved. And I'm not looking forward to having that cost again.
Let them catch you.
They're not here, so they don't catch me. So, you know, so these are the realities. So one of the things we did, just like talking about weighing on costs, you know, by the time we actually resumed, you know, we had to look at all the various cost heads. So one of them we did something significant was also even the facilities we have with the banks. Normally here in Ghana, they have a regulated rate, which the banks cannot go below. Then they have to do that plus a margin. And we thought that some of the margins not making sense. I mean, we have to be very brutal, threatening to count some of them. And of course, we're able to actually achieve much. So we're able to actually get something very minimal. That's one. There are some contracts that we also think that were not also favorable to the company. I won't mention the name of the bank. So what they did was they had a facility running with us, about 450 million. So for that facility, they charge us 1% upfront. And 1% upfront they charge means that every year, irrespective of the standard, sometimes I don't even use these facilities. Sometimes we have businesses because, I mean, from their own review, we don't have a drawdown because they felt it's not what they want. So, but every year we pay 450,000 Ghana cedis. And if you convert this in Naira, is about 30 million. just cost of fund alone without, doing anything. So that of course, we had to cancel that. It was a tough one, but we had to cancel that. So what we did, because these are tough times, we had to start looking at every aspect of the business. It got to a point where I also had to do something very abnormal, even though it's not the best of things to do, where I insisted that every expense must pass through me, at least for now, because we are in a very, abnormal times. And I can tell you, it was amazing. You need to see some of things I have to turn back, because you see the big picture. People are not, they are just in their silos, thinking on how to actually, the person is, we must justify every cost we're looking at in terms of, so that's, yes, I admit it's not the best of ways, but in terms, sometimes in abnormal times, take some abnormal decisions. So every single cost must pass through my table. Once you don't pass my table, you don't. So with that, I was able to squeeze out a whole lot. Were not necessary. We were just not relevant. We were just costs. So so we did all of that. So like I said, we'll keep on looking at that. In terms of the vehicles which we mentioned before, yes, you don't also blame companies. It became very obvious that they cannot actually, afford the cost of rentals in terms of leasing. So what happened? Of course, they had to start asking for extension. It is difficult to believe, but it's true that we have companies, multinationals, that are actually doing extension for 3 years. these are vehicles that have supposed to have done 4 years. They are now doing 3 years. That is 7 years on a row, and so for that kind of issue again. So what we've done consciously is also going to review rates, because inflation has come in. So we can also maintain the same rates. It was a tough one, but we have to push for that. Where we go back to them, yes, gentlemen, we are going to give you this extension, but we need to look at the rate again, so that we can accommodate the high inflation rates, the maintenance costs, and all. So that's what we've done. So here and there, looking at every aspect, every facet of the business to see how you can actually drive value from them as much as, and that we've done seriously. So it's an interesting time, I must say, for businesses in this part of the world. But again, we can't give up. We just have to keep pushing. And hope that's yeah.
Thank you. Amazing. Thank you. Interesting. Now that you've mentioned it on issue of reviewing rates, so to speak, maybe I'll just have this chat with Ian. There are some businesses that are in a price-sensitive environment where you do not have the full control and power to change the price of what you bring to the market easily. But there you are, struggling with the price that you're giving, but there are competitors who are promising lower rates, lower prices to your market. Do you think it is a very good decision for people, for organizations to go into a price war at this point in time?
It depends on how you see it. For some businesses, that's what they thrive in. For example, telecoms. If there's nothing you are offering that the next person does not have. So the only place where you can win is in 2 places. Number one is three places. Number one is your infrastructure, which is you are available as much as possible, as in the downtime is not much. Number 2 is in the nature of that's your customer service. How good is it? Then number 3, which is the main thing, is the pricing. So you'll be looking for how to lower your prices. Either you now sell in bundles, or you sub-sell, like what many are doing now, or however. So based on that, is a pricing war in the telecoms industry. But now in some other industries, like in services sector now, which we are in, that will not work, because somebody else, and the information is out there. You are telling someone that for this service we charge 10%. Somebody comes out from nowhere that you never envisaged and says they are doing it for 4.5%. You say, is this guy a witch from the village or what? 4.5%, how did they do it? But the truth is, when you are in a price-sensitive market, then you now have to go lean. You have to break down all your services and actually recost each and everything you do That's from the number of hours, the number of staff, the number of equipment, the number, everything, recost them and then start going lean. The lower the price, as the lower you are forced to price, the lesser the value of, not the value of the output now, but of the, yes, let me rephrase, you now make your services, you bring it down micro. I'm thinking of which one should I use now. Yes, let's go back to the co-work space. That's a good example. Now, we have a space. The space goes for, initially, when we put it in the market, the space was for 1 million naira per annum. The first one there went. The second one, we now found out that there's somebody not far away that was offering that at 500. We now had to find out why, what's going on. How is this person doing it? We now found out the guy keeps it basic. It's the same 1 million, but what did they now do? If you want it, without power, you provide your own power, then we take out 40% of the cost. Then it's air conditioned, but if you want fan, then we take out another 20%. Take out another 20%. So at that, which is the lowest, it's 40%, as in that's the price. So it's now, and that's what we now went back to do, which worked for us, because the rest of the space were not taken up, because many of them said, we can't do without the air conditioning. How long are we here in the first place anyway? So that's what happens. It's a price-sensitive business, but what you now do is everything, including the chairs. It was so interesting. They tell you, if you want an office with 2 chairs, this is what you pay. If you want it with 1 chair, this is what you pay. You break it down. So with that one, even though the price is the same at the top, but at the bottom, the price, what the customers are getting has now been priced. A very good, on a lighter note, a very good example is our sardine. You know, before now, you used to have about 5 fishes. The price is 18 of that. But today, some people are arguing that it's 2, but the ones I've seen is 3, which is 50% reduction. Because there's a limit to how much they can increase the price. So instead, they are reducing the quantity. A lot of our biscuits, some used to have 5, 6, 7 inside. Now, some have 2, some have 3, because the price has to remain the same. There's a cap into how high they can increase their prices. So what are they doing? They are reducing the quantity that is inside. We hope they are maintaining the quality, because that has been my worry with all these things. We hope they are maintaining the quality. All we know physically is that the quantity is being reduced. So that's what happens in a price-sensitive market. Then sometimes, what you can also do.
Sorry, Ayo, let me just, so I don't forget my thought. Let me just share an experience on this price issue.
Okay.
Now that you're talking about it. So, I mean, the same here. We also have this price war, but I think every company must know its threshold. I mean,
Yes.
which you can't simply go below, no matter what happens. So, I mean, I have this client, big company, multinational, and because of the relationship I have with them, and they called me, hey, I mean, your computers are offering this price. Are you going to match it, or should you go with them? I said, give me some time. So what did we do? What we did was just to walk back. So as against going to the bank to get 100% facility from the bank. So if I get 50% from the bank, right, of this amount, then talk to the car vendors and even out a payment plan and merge it together. It will bring me close to what they are looking at. And that was what we did and share with them. Of course, so sometimes you need to actually think out of the box, come out with some ingenuity. But even at that, we had our threshold there, which no matter what happens, you can't go below this. So I think that's what we have most times. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. That's true. First of all, before you start your price war, you should know your cost, so that you don't go below it and run out of business. We even have a recent case of a client that had somewhere in the range of over ₦1 billion in capital, but all of a sudden they have cash flow challenges and they are wondering what happened. They've been selling. It is when we now did an audit of the business, their sales, we found out that he was always negotiating prices with customers without considering the cost implication. So his major raw material, he imports it. So he might be, maybe the product is 200 naira a packet. He's now negotiating. A customer comes and says, I'm going to buy your entire container load, but you give it to me at 180. His own is at least I've sold it. So by the time I sell more and sell more, as they say, it's all about turnover. I will make that 20 naira difference back. He would agree. Not realizing that his cost of production plus importing the raw material sometimes goes as high as over that 200 naira they're already selling. And so he was running at a loss continuously. Then with our foreign exchange that goes up today, comes down tomorrow, as at the time he agrees to the price, when he's now importing, price of dollar has gone up, and he's importing from when the product lands, he's already at a loss. So, and he has, in fact, in the last 2 years, he has never sold at that 200 naira. So that's what happened. The losses eroded the capital. No business. But he never knew. In fact, he came to us that somebody is using medicine, or as they call it, juju on him. So he wants to find out if it's real, because he doesn't know. He has been doing business, but there's no cash. And he checks, just like Ike said, all transactions pass through him. So no money is stolen unless he's the one stealing from himself, which in this case, that's actually what happened. He didn't know. He was the one stealing from himself. So you have to know your costs. So once you know your cost, that's when you now start your price war, because the worst you should do is stop at that threshold of your cost so that you break even, not run at a loss, else you run out of business in the name of fighting your competition. So the next one I was going to talk about is the issue of now offering your services or selling your product in phases, where for the issue of services, you used to offer this complete service at 500,000. But all of a sudden, somebody is offering it less. So you now look for what is the premium portion of my service that no other person can have. You take that out and put a premium value on it. Then all the general ones put a basic value on it. So people will always come to you for that basic one. Then the premium one that you know you still own in the business or in the sector, or if you have a unique license to it, you put a premium value on it. So it's the few that would see the value of that premium one will still come to you. So at the end of the day, even though if it's a price war, those in the price thing with you feel that they won on the basis that, oh, the basic service is now, their own is now cheaper than yours and they have more, but you own that premium part. And so it's still you at the end of the day. And that's where you now make the difference back. But just like Ike said, at the end of the day, in the world we are today, it's about thinking out of the box. It's about thinking out of the box. Once you can think out of the box, you remain in business. But once you can't think out of the box, it's just in front. It's not far away. You will soon run out of business. That's the truth. Because there's nothing you are doing that somebody is not somewhere else looking for how to innovate it. Today, like I was asking my wife yesterday, I said, when was the last time? Do you know in this house, we have a mortar for pounding yam? She said, yes. I said, do you know where it is in this house? She was smiling, because the truth is, let me just for putting a value, in the last 2 years, she has not gone to where it is. It has grown mold. Why? Technology has come and there's now yam pounding machine. And that's all she does. Just boils it in, throws it in, brings it out, and says, pounded yam is ready. So those people that's what was their selling point, are out of business. They're out of business. So there's an innovation coming. So which is why you have to be always thinking and be aware of such things and find out ways you can stay, because it goes beyond pricing and quality of staff and all that. There's an innovation somewhere waiting. So that's just it. Thank you.
That's true. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ike. Thank you, Ayo. Very, very instructive in this particular area. Thanks. This has always been a challenge, especially for mid-sized small businesses. How do they compete on price? Because sometimes their costs, since they bear a lot on their own, they don't have the economy of scale. And so sometimes they are unable to match certain prices, as the case is. But again, thinking out of the box, choosing your market wisely, counting your teeth very well, this will help you to choose which markets to attack and which fights, which battle to take on, as the case may be. At that point, there used to be a story in the land back then that if you fight this particular organization, they don't mind giving their products for free for the next 1 year. You will run out of business in 1 month before they run out of the products they have in their warehouse, much less of you being able to compete on price. Thank you very much. Which is also why it's important, while in addition to the instructions and lessons we've taken, is for you to be clear about the value you bring to the market. And that your market understands what that value is worth to them. So at the end of the day, when you begin to run certain promotions, like we encourage, you can do promotions, but don't overly reduce price. Because instantly you tell customers that this is the original price. Because once you come down on price, sometimes it takes a long time for you to be able to climb back up again, except if something changes in the economy and gives you a leeway to be able to climb back up. Okay, so I think my last question here before we wrap up is on the customers. So you're running a line of business, doing very well, have some nice set of customers, and you're ready to expand, you're ready to scale. How do you ensure, or how do you get sufficient customers to scale? How do you ensure that you acquire the number of customers, the quantity of customers, the quality of customers you need in order for you to scale very well? I'll start with Ike, and then Ayo, you can add your voice to it. What do you do when you want to grow and you want to acquire more customers? What do you do in order to acquire more customers in order to grow from that point in time?
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Joel. So I think the point to note is that, which I think you said it in your intro, the customers today are becoming more sophisticated. Their demand is becoming more. You can't throw anything at them. I mean, unlike days are gone where you sit in the comfort. I mean, so it's going to a point where beyond the quality of products, right? Beyond being efficient and effective, it is also important, how do you deliver that service? What is a touch? Because I mean, there are a lot of quality products, there are a lot of efficient products there, I mean, companies, but how do you deliver these products? How you deliver it? How you pass it on to them? It's very, very key today. And that's what is keeping companies. So that's what one of the things that can set you apart, right? Then if you're able to actually establish that, then what you're doing is that you're going to build a trust. Like I said, you need to see it from the point of partnership. So you're not just there to collect their money and take a walk, but you want to stay with them, right? I mean, you're coming to them every now and then, gentlemen, I understand what you guys are going through. This is my suggestion, this is my input. So they see you as a real partner. So it's easy for you to scale up with those kind of companies because they know, yes, you're a true partner with them. So these are some things we need to start looking at. And of course, in terms of referrals, you can be rest assured that it's guaranteed. So these are some of the things we need to start looking at. Yes, of course, we're saying that it's a given that you have your quality products. It is a given that you're efficient and effective, but how you deliver these services goes a long way in ensuring that you remain in the market. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Ayo?
Thank you, Ike. Thank you, Mr. Joel. For me, first of all, man is an animal of habits. So once they are doing something and they are used to it, it's very difficult getting them to change, even to try out something different. And when you want to expand as a business, you are telling them to change habits. So I will give two stories, the stories of P&G and the story of, I think, Visa card. What did they do? The P&G got to a point, I think they started with a basic family supply. Then they realized for their business to grow, they need to have products that will move from one generation to the next generation. So based on that, they came up with a 40-year plan that in looking at their customers, in partnering, just like I said, with their customers, they will have products they need at their old age, at their current age, which are the current generation that have grown older with them. And then they will now have products for the younger generation. And then by the third cycle, they will now have products for their children, that's the grandchildren. So based on that, Why? They tried changing, that is introducing the product to a new set of people. They found out that they have, that's what some of us don't even realize. Once you've clearly defined your market, you've clearly defined your customer, you've defined your customer lifestyle, your customer type, and your customer taste, there is now a boundary onto the volume of markets you can get. The next thing you do is what Ike has been saying, that we now try to get more of their pockets. But even that their pocket you are trying to get, there's a limit to what you can get. The only way you can now get more is by having them spend more on other things that still belong to you. So in expansion, those are the principles you now be following. So what the P&G do, I think they started with those basic like cream, soap for adults. From there, what did they now do? They now went into basic home products like hand wash, liquid wash, all those things that those adults have grown up but now live in their houses, they will need. From there, they now went into Pringles, which is what they are known for mainly in Nigeria anyway. They now went into Pringles, as in so that those, because they believe those people would have had children by now, and the children, that's what they would love to eat. And so they started selling Pringles. And it's the same customers, remember, that are still paying for their children's food. So it's the same pocket size you are going after, but now a different market that belongs still to the same customer. And so from there, they went into Pampers. And with that, they kept expanding, where they now, at some point, they now said they can boast that for the next 40 years, if you start with them, you would always need them. For the next 40 years in your life, you would always need them, because there is something in that your life at every year you need them for. So if they can live for 40 years, that means for the next 3 generations, which is now 120 years, they will succeed as a business. And that's how today they are worldwide, they are all over the world, they are in no name, and they've now formed a culture where in some families, if it's not a P&G product like Pampers, you are wasting time. They will not use any other one. So that's them. The Visa card started with their credit card business, and people who are using it, they now realize the same, they need to expand because they have they've saturated the credit pockets of their customers. Anything beyond that will run their customers into debt. That is, that debt has a limit, where it's good debt and bad debt. So anything beyond the credit they are giving their customers now would be bad debt, which will not be good. So what do? They thought about it, They said, what would make a man go beyond limits? That is, what would make a man be ready to die is what? Love. A man would do anything for love. So they now introduce partner card. What's partner card? A card that you have, then from the credits you have already, they are not asking you to spend more. You have $100 credits. They are not saying from that $100, give $30 to a partner. And that's how that market boomed. Why? It was the age of love. So people were in love and they were ready to give a small portion of their money to their love to show how much they love her. And because most of the market then was by men. And with that, the market boomed, because after a while, those people will now be looking for how to make more money and pay for it. So with that one, giving a 20 to 30%, which was their maximum, to another card, the business increased by that 30%. After about 20 years, they now introduced another partner card, but this time for your kids, they have kids credit card, where the maximum spend on it, I think, is $100. And with that, both parents can come together and fund that card, or a particular parent can choose to be the one funding the card. That's how the market expanded, and that's how they've kept expanding to where they are today. This was over about a 30, 40-year period. And so that's how it works. You need to know your market very well, to the point where you know what is the saturation point, what is the maximum pocket size I can get from this, what is the maximum number, because also you might be getting customers, you're excited, you say, oh, it will not stop. I'm sorry, it will stop. The population is finite. We have about 8 billion people. So if you get to 8 billion customers, I don't know who else you are looking for. And that's how it is. For every product, there is a finite number of customers you can get, especially when it's a defined product that has, that is in line with a particular taste, culture, style of customers. So when you have that in mind, then you now need to be innovative by either introducing a new line of services, new line of product, or entirely going to other countries completely, where there's a difference in language and culture that you now have to adjust your product to be able to expand your markets. And then sometimes you need to scale down, where you rebrand your product, like what DSTV did by introducing GoTV. They were all in the process of expansion. So they brought in a cheaper version of their product that addressed another market. And GoTV today is competing with DSTV in terms of market size, as in number of subscribers. But the people using GoTV are very different from people using DSTV. And so they've doubled their size by doing that. So sometimes you need to scale down. And this is even common in the pharmaceutical industry, where one pharmaceutical company will now register like 20 other sub-pharmaceutical companies and bring in 20 different products, give them 20 different names, and be marketing all 20 of them differently. And to you, you are buying Panadol, you are buying Fencing, they are two different products. You don't know that it's one company that owns both of them. So those are the various ways of expanding that, in addition to what Ike has said. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ayo. Thank you, Ike. There's an expression that says the paradox of excellence. Sometimes you are so good in your place. You've done extremely well in that particular area, very successful. Now it's time to expand and grow. Your excellence in that area may paralyze you, and you're not able to grow at that point in time because of the fear of adulterating or spoiling the good that you've done at that point in time. Again, that's paralysis that you're experiencing may eventually kill you, because the business may not die at that point in time. One of my business mentors some years ago told me that in consulting, that one of the best ways to grow and remain relevant in consulting is that once you win a consulting project, when you get to that organization, do not accept a chair from them. That usually they tell you that, okay, when you come, this is the meeting room, that's the chair, that's where you're going to work. They say no, that once you get a project, go with your own chair. So even when the project is over, your chair is still relevant.
Very wise.
And so he explained that in the middle of doing a project, be looking out for which areas of the organization is not working very well. So that before you finish your current project, you'll have sent in proposal of the other areas that you need to work on. So interestingly, growth can be systemized. Just look at what system you need to put in place to ensure that you continue to grow at that point in time. What do you need to, you don't wait until you get to a point where you have reached the zenith, that you stagnated, then you begin to think of growing again. All right, because growth is like a sinusoid, right? Once you notice that you're beginning to get to a point where it is slowing down, it is time to begin to shake things up or introduce something new at that point in time. And when Ayo was talking about a finite market, I mean, human beings, you can count them to finish, as the case may be. I remembered one of a business we worked with in the past. They are a construction firm. They do road construction, infrastructural construction. And they've been pushing proposals since they get one or two small projects here and there, so to speak, until somebody told them to please focus on one niche. You cannot be a construction company of road, house, bridge, everything, as the case may be, except if you are Julius Berger. Until you become Julius Berger, try and take an area where they will help you to scale as the case may be. So they targeted state governments. And they wrote proposal, used pictures of all their caterpillars and all the equipment, and built one giant profile with it and sent it to all state government houses. The first 1 year, nothing happened. But in the second year, they got the opportunity to bid for one project that they won because of capacity, not experience. Because they did not have the experience to show, but they showed capacity by the equipment that they had. While they were doing that, referrals on the completed project got them the second job. By the time they were in their 5th year, they were rejecting government jobs. So that's the thing. Sometimes you need to be very clear on how your growth is, right? You must be very clear on your target market and then systematically continue to pursue them. And you don't take leave from marketing. You don't say that I have marketed enough, let's rest more. Neither do you say I have enough customers, let me finish serving these customers before I come back marketing again. That small window of leaving the market from marketing, other people will come in and steal the shine. When you come back, you'll be asking them to reintroduce you again to the market and the case may be. All right, thank you very much, Ayo. Thank you very much, Ike, for this session. This has been very, very instructive, very, very loaded. If you just give us a parting shot, we'll just get Ayo to speak, and then I could speak, and then we can wrap up for the day.
Okay. Thank you very much. I would continue from where I started, where I said the decisions of yesterday are what you are living in today. And the decisions of tomorrow are also what you have to take today. If you don't take any decision, is a decision, which means you are deciding to kill your business for tomorrow. There will be no business in existence by tomorrow. So what we are doing today sounds simple and, it's just a talk, but it's about continuous existence of businesses for tomorrow. So we've said a lot and we've shared a lot. I have learned a lot actually from this discussion, and I hope others too have. But to be in business, tomorrow matters, growth matters, and innovation, talent management, culture are key drivers for your business. I wish you all the best in your businesses, and I wish you growth and success into the future of your business, irrespective of what the economy is looking like today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, Ike.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Ayo. I think it's actually been an amazing time, quite refreshing, and a whole lot of nuggets, even for me, as I continue to pilot this business. So my parting word is the fact that I want to say this clearly: there are opportunities, and there will always be opportunities. The question is, are you ready? Are you prepared? Have you invested? Can you take up the opportunities? That's a food for thought. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. And so for me, growth is natural. Growth is inevitable. It is life, right? If you don't grow, other things will grow. All right? Things must grow as the case may be. But you can be conscious about your growth. You can be conscious about it. Choose what must grow, when it should grow, in what direction, and at what point in time you feel that growth has been satisfying for you. The resource persons are always available. You can reach out to any one of us for any additional insights that you require. You can look us up on LinkedIn, and you will send us a direct message, and we'll be able to respond to you and share more thoughts and ideas to you at that point in time. On this note, I say thank you all, and have a successful time growing your business, growing yourself, and helping the economy to also expand. Thank you, and have a lovely morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you,
everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Tayo. Thank you, Mr. Ike. Thank you, Mr. Joe.